That's going to take a little bit of time because I have to get it back from the transcriptionist and then edit and then send it to you. Okay?
Okay, great.
I'm
Awesome.
going to get started with my questions. What motivated you to make Aliyah?
So basically the story is I came here as a gap year student. I came here for yeshiva. And during yeshiva, it was actually right after the 3 boys were kidnapped in the summer of 2014. And it was like there was the whole Gal Terror throughout the whole year. I volunteered for MADA in the beginning of that year also. And throughout the year, I decided that that impacted me. I decided that I wanted to draft to the Army. I didn't really know that I wanted to make Aliyah yet, but I knew that I wanted to serve, I wanted to do my part serving the country, doing what I can to protect. And I also wanted to be a medic in the Army specifically. So initially I wanted to be part of the unit Sheshtesha, which is the combat search and rescue unit, elite combat search and rescue unit. And in order to get there, I had to essentially make Aliyah and do all sorts of miyunim, like tryouts and stuff like that. So I did that. I made Aliyah for that purpose so that I could do the miyunim, so I could do the tryouts. I didn't end up getting accepted to that unit. I got accepted to a different unit. I got accepted to Agos, and while I was there, I still wanted to be a medic. So I went out to the medics course while I was in Agos, and that was kind of my, that was how I ended up, making Aliyah essentially. I wasn't gung-ho that I wanted to live in Israel, but I was gung-ho that I wanted to, do that in the Army. And once I ended up here, I was here. I started making my friends here. I started making my people here. I also knew that at some point in my life, I wanted to live in Israel. I wasn't sure when, but I knew that I wanted to live in Israel at some point.
Yeah. What do you love about living here?
Honestly, that's a good question. There's a lot that's not the same. There's a lot that's missing. We don't have Amazon Prime. We don't have Costco. We don't have.
That's my next question. We'll get to the next.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I'll wait on that for a second.
Okay.
But I think part of it kind of folds into the same answer where. I think there's a lot that's lacking here, but still there's that shayachut of like, okay, I chose this place. I chose this as my home. This is where I chose. It's not perfect, but I also have the ability and the opportunity to do what I can to make it a better place, to hope to see it become a better place. And I think that that's something that, every day we see better we see new improvements coming around in the country. It's a new, it's a new country. It's fun to be part of it. And beyond that, it's just, after so much time being here, I've just developed my, networks and, my support networks, my family, my friends, who have become my family, basically.
Yeah. And what do you miss most about Detroit?
About Detroit specifically? I would say just the familiarity, like the nostalgia of, being there, being in the place where I grew up and being so familiar with it and knowing exactly like, oh, I know that street sign from when I was 5 years old.
What number generation are you in Detroit? Your parents were born there, right?
my parents were born there. My grandparents on my dad's side were Holocaust survivors. They came from Poland. And my grandparents on my mom's side are also Detroiters. They're
Mhm.
also Detroiters.
Wow. So you have a long family history there.
Yeah, some family history.
Would you like me to write in there that you miss your parents?
Yeah, yeah, that would probably be good for them. Although the truth is, you don't have to write this part, but it is kind of nice that we've got like Zoom, we've got video calling. Like,
That's
you know,
true.
I don't have to constantly be heckled by them, but when I do want to see them, when I do want to see them or talk to them, I could just pick up the phone and talk to them. So that's kind of nice.
This is why it's good you're going to see it before I publish it.
Yep.
What message do you want to send to Detroiters about Israel?
That's a good question. I don't really know. I don't know. I think that, depending on, I guess also depending on who's reading this.
Okay.
Um,
I'm also
what
not
they-
entirely sure who's reading it.
Right.
Not yet.
Right. So I would say, I mean, Israel's not perfect by far.
Mm-hmm.
Israel's not perfect by far, but it's definitely a work in progress. And I see like there's a lot of condemnation of Israel.
Yeah.
Of like, Israel does really bad things, occupation, whatever, like oppression, not unethical treatment of Muslims or whatever religion, whatever it is. And yeah, it's not perfect, but it's a work in progress. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that in its mahut, like it's at its core, it's evil. It means that there's progress that needs to be made.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't, we shouldn't be giving up. We should be fighting for something better.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's
it's good. There's always room for improvement.
Mhm.
Now, some technical things. I know you went to Akiva. Did you go to any other camps or any other things in Detroit? They want a connection with different things. Did you go to? Go ahead.
Right. So I was involved in Bnei Akiva and NCSY. Bnei Akiva is much more, Zionist oriented, like Israel oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of growing up, it was just the status quo that, in Akiva, it was the status quo that we would go to Israel for a gap year after graduating high school.
Right.
Almost, most people that I think, I imagine most people that went to Akiva, that graduated from Akiva, went to Israel as a gap year. I didn't graduate from Akiva. I graduated from FJA.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I'd say most of the FJA graduates who also had gone to Akiva came to Israel as well.
Okay.
After.
Okay. And what are you doing nowadays? I mean, I know, but you need to.
Right. So that's a good question. That's a good question. Since being released 2.5 years ago, I've been involved in a whole bunch of different things. I worked as a manny, as in kind of like an au pair. That was a lot of fun.
I bet you were great.
That was I did that for about a year. And I was also working I was working for Eitan Kirschenbaum at the Kirschenbaums. Actually, I don't know if you know them, but Kirschenbaum, they were Bnei Akiva Shlichim in Detroit. So he's a lawyer, and their family, his dad basically has a law firm. So I was working at his dad's law firm. He's a lawyer at their law firm. I was working kind of as a, what's the word? Paralegal kind of style thing at their law office.
And
Then I got
now?
into real estate for a little while. Now for the last 2 months, I've been doing Miluim actually. So this is actually something that I was really like, this was a super, super awesome thing to be part of. Was I was called up for reserves since I was a medic in the Army. I was called up for reserves, and they asked me to actually be one of the vaccine administrator. So I was giving people vaccines, and I was able to be part of that whole initiative of getting the country vaccinated. So that was really awesome to be part of, and huge honor to be part of that just during this crisis during Corona. And that was my reserves duty for the past 2 months or so. It's actually just this week is the last week that I'm going to be doing it. But it was like tremendous to be part of that, like really, really awesome to be part of that. A lot of times, kind of the thought, I think, like a typical thought of lone soldiers, and even like soldiers in general, like, everyone thinks like, oh my God, if we go to war, like that's the ultimate privilege of going to war. But it's also, that is a really heavy, war sucks. Like, I never had to go to war. Like I served during a very quiet time. And I do not regret it at all. Like, I'm really glad that I never had to go to war still. And this was a super privilege to be part of this vaccination effort where, I got to do something incredibly meaningful and not have to deal with PTSD or, horrible traumas. So.
Unless someone was scared of the shot.
Right. So actually, I got a lot of those. That was I actually really enjoyed giving people vaccines that were terrified of needles. I like to just calm them down and get them to relax. So that was a lot of fun. And actually, now I just, like, fresh news. I just signed up for Hebrew U to study.
Really? To study what? Which
to
degree?
Study biology.
Wow. Biology. See, I'm so proud of you. That's so great. So when do you start after the Chagim?
I start, yeah.
Wow, biology. That sounds right.
Yeah,
That's
so I'm really excited about that.
Amazing. Wow, okay.
So that's the whole mishmash of like what I've been up to since.
That's Max in a nutshell. Okay.
That's those things that I've been up to.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
While I was vaccinating, right before Pesach, I was vaccinating people, and there's a lot of like, I'm vaccinating at Meuchedet, which is for some reason, there's a lot of Haredim that come to Meuchedet. And I got a Chabad guy, a Chabad rabbi comes to me to get vaccinated. And after I vaccinate him, he's like, I brought you something. He pulls out a handmade shmura matzah.
It was on Pesach?
I'm like, yeah, it was for Pesach. It was right before Pesach. He says, "This is for you. I brought you a handmade shmura matzah."
That's awesome.
That was my.
He didn't ask you to put on tefillin?
No, he didn't. I had other people that asked me to put on tefillin. That's also a classic move.
It's amazing. Anyway, all right, good one. Thank you. Do you have a current picture of yourself? I think you do. You have like the one with the Remax sign, but do you have like just that?
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of me.
Okay.
I'll send you a picture of me.
Okay. You can send it either on WhatsApp or email.
All right, great.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, great talking to you.
Good to see you
Well,
again.
good luck with this.
Thank
Looking
you.
forward to seeing how it comes out.
Yep.
All right. See you.
Okay. Take care. Bye.